We're now joined by Siouxsie and Emily of Dead Sarah. How are you today?
Good. Good.
Thank you so much for joining us, IndiePower TV. I go way back. I used to see you guys in the Viper Room and the little clubs in town, and we knew great things were going to be happening, and so proud and excited to celebrate the release of the second record and see you guys doing great things. But going back, each one of you, you know, at what age did you really start taking music more seriously as far as, you know, not just listening to it, but when to make it, you know, and who were some of your heroes or inspirations at that point?
I mean, I got into music initially when I was 8 or whatever with my nanny who was in a rock band, but really it was when I met Emily when I was like 15, 16. And
let's start a band.
Yeah. It's the only band I've ever been in, so it's like...
Wow, that's great. And where exactly were you growing up?
LA.
Which part?
Los Feliz, Hollywood.
Los Feliz, okay. So you're close to Hollywood. You had all the clubs in there. Were you sneaking into clubs at all before? Yeah. Okay. All the great times.
I mean, we were playing it before we were 21. Like, we sometimes had to stay outside.
Yeah.
What were some of the first clubs you played?
A couple of them are not around anymore.
Yeah.
Sam Safari, remember that one?
Yeah, Safari Sam.
Safari Sam is the one that is now...
Oh, is that the one on Vine Street?
Dark Room.
Oh, yeah, it was called The Gig.
Oh, The Gig down on Melrose?
Yeah, and now it's the Dark Room.
Yeah.
These places that used to be.
I know.
The first show is at the Mint.
The Mint. That's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mint's still there.
The scene.
Is that even there?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, the scene that's in right Glendale, like Los
Atwater,
Feliz.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of history. You travel around and remember this was over here. And
oh, we're getting old.
I know.
No, it's weird.
Tower Sunset, all these like relics of the past.
They're sounding like our parents. Like, oh, this used to be.
A trip down memory lane, just like the Rock and Roll Billboard book.
Yeah.
Now, how about you, Emily? Who were some of the first musical artists you heard that really spoke to you?
There was a lot of the 60s and 70s that I just fell head over heels for. I started playing music when I was like 11, 12. Started a band then, and it was pretty much full force throughout till now, you know, continues.
Any artists in particular, anyone that just
I mean, there
became
was
your favorites?
Zeppelin is still my favorite band.
Yeah.
Nothing can top that. And the Stones and Fleetwood Mac and the folk stuff too, like Joni and Melanie and Cat Stevens and Bob Dylan.
Was that some of the elements of Zeppelin, is they could get real folky and then they could get really rocking, and they had all these different...
Yeah, and I think it was great to have that as a beginner in music, you know, like I didn't think that there was any difference. Like, you could literally do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't have this, like, you have to be one. And I think that's what's great about that time era. It's like you could do anything all across the board and be known for who you are, you know, and definitely Zeppelin is the number one at that, you know.
Yeah.
They're just the best.
I know I asked Jason Bonham one time, like, what made them so special, because he's obviously played with them, and he said, just if you listen to how they put their songs together, they didn't follow any rules. There was really no structure of how it should have been done, and just the chords and the, you know, everything they did was just like out there.
Time signatures would change.
Yeah.
It would sound amazing. Like, you know, Bonham would be doing some 4 on the floor, and then they'd be going all over the place, and just like, how does it end up here? Like, and he's singing it. It's like, it's incredible. But I didn't think that when I was when I just started playing music. I was just like, cool, all right. And then I'd go out and play, and then we started playing with people that were a little bit more went to college for music and stuff, and they were like, well, that doesn't work. I'm like, what do you mean that doesn't work?
Sounds cool.
It sounds great.
It sounds good. It works.
So you start learning a lot more, but that was definitely something, and I think everybody should learn, like, listen to growing up, you know, especially in rock and roll, that there is no boundaries.
Sure.
And we're confined a lot more in this generation with types of music, and I think it should go back to anything, you know.
Yeah, it really
and I think people are ready for it.
Yeah. Rather than writing for radio, you just got to write for what you feel, and hopefully there's some type of radio or exposure
Yep.
you know, for it. Well, speaking of roots, obviously Zeppelin and so many of the British bands were so deep in American
Yeah.
rhythm and blues. The
Yeah.
blues
Yeah.
music was their
And
heroes.
country too. Like if you listen to Zeppelin, they had
Yeah.
a little bit of that kind.
Mhm.
A little bit of it, you know.
Yeah.
Country.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin
Very
3
random.
had all sorts of rootsy, folky
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, it kind of makes you proud to be an American because we think of all these rock heroes as being British. The Beatles and the Stones and the Who and Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. And then you realize all their heroes were American,
Mhm.
Right.
you know? And a lot of these guys didn't really get their due, but so many of them are still alive. You know, we just lost B.B. King, but, you know, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis, a lot of these guys are still here. You know, we always feel very strongly that we should celebrate these guys while they're still alive. Because a lot of them felt like they've been kind of past, you know, that they realize their influence on the music, but a lot of the younger generation, they're these old black dudes, I don't even know who they are, you
Yeah.
know. They don't get the respect. But you talk to the Beatles or the Stones or Jimmy Page or Robert Plant, that was their heroes,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm a
And you
huge
talk
blues
you
fan.
talk to Lemmy, and you know his favorite singer was Little Richard, you know.
Right.
So it's exciting to hear
Roots.
that. So obviously the you guys got together at a very early age, and you started writing original music at what age?
15, 16.
No, it was probably 17,
I was
18.
16.
Okay,
Yeah.
started to piece it together.
High school.
Yeah, yeah. And when did the name Dead Sarah take shape?
Years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like 2005 or something like that.
So you had to choose a name,
Maybe
and
earlier than that.
sure.
Yeah, nothing stuck. It was just like, oh, that's cool. And like a month later, we're like, yeah, we don't like it anymore. And it just dissolved. And we're like, okay.
We look on Facebook to see if there's another band with that name. Like,
And
damn
we just
it.
had so many.
I know, it's incredible.
And then just the name Dead Sarah popped up.
Yeah, yeah. Any special significance to it?
Texted it to me. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was just thinking that. Literally. I was just thinking that name. And it's just because it was just something that we used to think it was a misheard lyric from a Fleetwood Mac song. And we just thought it was... We're like, no, that's it. That's what she sang. She sang Dead Sarah. And it was just like one of those things, like an inside thing. And it literally just stuck ever since. We could not change it. We tried changing it later and we couldn't.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, there you go.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Chose us.
So from
Yeah.
the early days in the LA clubs, you know, the first album was born. Over what period of time were those songs written?
The first record?
Yeah.
I mean, Sorry for It All and Test My Patience were pretty old.
But other than that, it was all new stuff.
Yeah, all new stuff that we'd
Okay.
written within, what, like,
That year.
yeah, a year.
To drew a little bit from the past.
Yeah, and we
A
started,
little
current.
bit, yeah.
yeah, we started jamming with Chris and Sean,
But,
and on one of our first, like, times playing with Sean, we wrote Weatherman, or, like, a chunk of it, got the idea done, and we just kind of wrote the rest.
Yeah. Well, that song obviously helped you guys get the word out, and you know, 98.7 and all that jumped on it. Talk about what that was like to hear your song, you know, for the first times, you know, on the radio, and something you wrote in your bedroom or garage was now being shared with the people. What was that experience like?
Well, I remember having, when she just wrote that riff, the Weatherman riff, even when you were at home, and I was like, could you play that? Just keep playing it. Just keep playing it. And she'd be like, okay. And I'd just be sitting there, like, staring and, like, feeling it and just being like, God, that riff is so good. You know, when you just, I just wanted, I remember I wanted to hear it over and over.
I remember that.
And I think the more that I just was listening to it, and I wasn't really singing to it yet, at that point when she was playing it, it come from the rehearsal space, but we were done with rehearsal and she was just kind of playing it, and I was like, could you just play that again, play it again? And I just wanted to get re-familiarized with it, and as it really like grew on me, and I think it started really taking its, kind of turned into a monster a little bit, and it was almost like what I expected. It felt very powerful. So, and it's like, it's something that you can never think of that will happen. It's like, it's always
Yeah.
going to be so different. Like, oh, this could totally be on the radio. Cool, yeah, you think that, but you don't think of everything else that comes with it. And like, you start to play for big, like, people, and then people are singing it back to you. You don't think about these things. So it's even greater, you know? Everything is like that. It's never what you expect. It's always better.
Yeah.
But then there is more work to it too that
Yeah.
you don't think of. Traveling, being away
Sure.
for a while.
The fantasy versus the reality.
Yeah, but it definitely evens itself out. I mean, who wouldn't
Yeah.
want to do this for a living? You know.
And where was the first time you heard it? Was it the local show, or where did it begin?
Yeah, it was on 98.7.
Yeah. It was on
And
Halloween.
they had their Sunday night
Yeah.
local show?
It was Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
Yeah.
Local.
Mm-hmm.
I ran out of the bar,
Mhm.
sat in the car, a couple friends in our costumes, just
I
waited.
I was with Sean, and
Oh yeah, you guys were driving somewhere.
yeah, we were driving somewhere. We're like, oh my god.
Well, you guys were in costumes.
Maybe we were going to meet you or going somewhere.
We were all
Remember
trying to
when-
figure out what to do.
Yeah,
That's
we
what-
were doing something because we were
Halloween.
trying to
Yeah.
do this Halloween, but I remember we were both like, ah!
Okay, are you listening? Are you listening?
Oh my god! To everyone texting each other.
Did
Yeah.
you have to stop the car? Or
We know
Get
we
out.
drove around and blasted
Is that right?
it. Yeah, because we were already
Yes.
driving. We were,
so much of our music growing up was heard in the car. So,
Mhm.
you know, there's such a great feeling about great music and
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah.
You know, amazing stuff. So now the first album came out and got you guys on the map, and you know the Muse tour happened. Tell us about the steps along the way, how you got on Muse's radar and how that tour happened.
Well, if you speak to our ex-manager, he'll say that.
Well, Dominic, the drummer, he was doing like an interview, right? And then they asked him.
In 98.7, yeah.
Yeah, they asked him who he
Oh
liked.
wait, no, it was some Canadian
Yeah, it
radio
was
station
something. He was
asked
doing
him.
an interview, and they asked him
about
You
living in LA. 'cause
living
he's
in LA. Yeah, and any bands out there he liked or any new music, and then he said Dead Sarah, and then that got back to us.
And we were like, let's ask. And then we knew a friend that kind of knew them,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, hey, and then it just happened. Like,
Good
Yeah.
timing. They
Then
were
they-
looking.
Yeah, they were
Getting
going
ready
on
for a
tour.
tour.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we opened for them.
And tell us what the highlights of that were. Obviously, you're performing to a lot of new fans every night, but just to see the spectacle of, you know, an arena show like that and how it all got together. What was the greatest things you learned and experienced from that?
The greatest thing about it, I think, was just seeing our name underneath the news.
The marquee.
Dead Sarah. Like,
Billboards and
what the
everything.
fuck is our name doing up there?
Posters.
But I think it's just getting used to playing in a very big place.
Yeah.
Arenas. I mean, this is not something that we were
Sports
used to.
arena.
We probably did it once, yeah, with like in like a more of a festival setting, you know. So
Mhm.
to have this set up on just one stage, it was something I think we brought back with us. Like, you start to think differently with songs that you're writing, you know, like
Mhm.
it has a different approach to it, and I think it opened us up a little bit more with writing, and especially seeing Muse play and listening to them every night. They're just absolutely incredible. I mean, he's the greatest singer right now, I think. One of the
Mhm.
greatest rock singers.
Mhm.
So that in itself, you know,
Yeah.
we learn from.
I listen to their music and reminds me of like Queen, you know, like grandiose
Yeah.
music that had the harmonies and
Yep.
layers of music and stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool that they've been together since
Yeah.
high school as well. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to see. I think 20 years now. They
Yeah.
said.
So you got to see that you had to translate the songs to a larger space. So you kind of had to let them breathe a little, kind of.
Absolutely. It took
yeah.
a bit.
Yeah, it's an adjustment
It's really
Right.
weird.
because it's like there's so much to it, like filling all of that space
Yeah.
and being so far away from the fans is also different. And the stage is
Because
massive.
the stage is like 15, you know.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not like clubs where they're like you can touch them.
And spit on them.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously going into it, you were used to having more of the crowd in your face and everything. How did you adapt to that? I mean, was it a kind of a learning process? It took you a
Yeah.
few shows to kind of get the
Get the
feel.
feel for it, yeah.
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 To
Like,
be
okay.
like fucking
Originally, it's like we're kind of distant from the audience. Or
Yeah. You
there's a
definitely-
space.
Mm-hmm.
There's a space, but at the same time, you're crowded with more people than you've ever been in contact with playing, you know? So it's like this weird, like, but once you get it, you know, it's like, okay, you gotta be able to communicate to these people without being so close to them, and you know, and have them communicate back to you, and it's like they're there to see Muse. All these kind of things take part in it, you know, and once you find its flow, it becomes fun, you know. It's just a different type of audience, really, you know. That's what it is. They're not seeing a club show, you know?
Yeah.
That's what their mindset
Yeah,
is.
they're
So
not
once you
just to
tap
hang
into
out.
that,
They're there for a spectacle.
yeah. So once you see that, and I remember we did like a last minute show at South by Southwest on that tour.
Yeah.
Like we just went through on our bus and we went up there, and I'll tell you, we were fucking used to playing arenas, and we get in there and we're playing to what, like 300, 400 people in a smaller space,
Yeah.
and it was just fucking balls to the walls. The funnest show because we were just fucking
put on the arena show in the club.
Yeah.
We literally pulled in, like unloaded, played, and then left. Like literally,
And it was
Yeah.
so fucking
Tore
Just
down.
loud.
guerrilla style.
and it was the fun. All of us, it's just like that was the
And it
funnest
just
show
felt
we've
so
ever played.
small, and like we were able to just run everywhere, be on top of it,
The
with
crowd was
full
all
energy
behind us and
on
in
the
front
side
of
of
us.
us.
Mhm.
Oh,
It was
Austin is
so-
always such a good
Yeah,
time.
Mm-hmm.
so
Even
fun.
this last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had the pleasure of working with you two on their first 4 tours, and the first show they ever did was at the Country Club, which is the famous old club in Reseda, which is now a church.
Mm-hmm.
But the second show they did at the little Woodstock in Anaheim, there was 12 people in the crowd.
Wow.
And if I tell you that Bono put on an arena show, it didn't matter how many people were in the place. Because a year and a half later, they stole the show at the US Festival in front of 300,000 people.
Yeah.
They put on that kind of show and for 12 people.
That's
Wait, who did
awesome.
it?
You too.
Oh, you too.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
It was just like, it didn't matter.
Wow. Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those 12 people will never forget you.
Hey, they're there. They came all the way from Ireland. What, are they going to put on a half-ass show? I
Yeah,
mean, it's
totally.
not even a question. So, now I know you guys have gotten some great accolades, you know. Grace Slick loves what you do, and Dave Grohl's big fan, the band. What does it feel like to get that kind of redemption from people that you grew up listening to or, you know, admire?
Definitely makes your heart flutter a bit, you know, and catch your breath a few times when you first hear that news. And you just literally have to take it with like, okay, you know, it's not let it get to our head, you know, this
Right.
is, you know, they've been through the whole thing too, you know, they started from nothing and became somebody, so it just kind of gives us like a nod, like, you're doing something right, so, you know, even though we haven't quite found it and we're, you know, we're still working very hard, it's, you know, it's a great acknowledgement into we're
Yeah.
doing something right.
Totally.
You know,
It's like a feather in the cap, but you're not going to change your whole outlook
Right.
because
Yeah.
of it. You don't
Right.
want to
Totally.
deviate.
we can't. You know.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Now, I know you guys have been fiercely, you know, independent, you know, coming out with the first album and doing your thing, getting the Muse tour and all that, basically without a major. I know there was a little period there where you guys kind of dated with a major. What was the learning experience dealing with that experience?
I mean,
A lot.
yeah. There's so much to it, and I think every band is indifferent. Everyone's going to have different experiences. Every label's different, and I feel like we kind of tend to do things that work for us and that flow. And it didn't. I mean, our manager we fired ended up being A&R. Our A&R. We didn't know that he was working there, and we fired him. It was just like this whole mess. So it was like
Bad blood.
it was just like
Nobody
a weird,
was working for us. Basically.
yeah, we didn't have an A&R the entire time we did the record. We were just in a house like recording. So it was a weird time.
All the rock guys were fired
Yeah. And it was just like
as we signed.
it was like it wasn't the proper home.
Yeah.
And we're used to working on our own and having our own label and doing it because that's how we started. It's what we've done. But we're not like opposed to major labels or hate them but it just has to be the right one and the right people, really, you know?
Yeah,
Well, it's all about a team. It's taking what you do best and surrounding yourself with people that recognize that and can help,
Yeah, support
you
it.
know, support that
Totally.
vision. So the new album is independent,
Yep.
Yeah.
and tell us about what you're most proud of accomplishing, you know, with the songs and the recording, you know, in the next step here.
And getting it out, really.
Yeah.
It seemed like it would never, you know, we had to work, we had to fight for it, you know, a little bit to get it back into our hands and without having to get too bloody on it, you know. But
really like sticking to like our integrity on it and not folding. I mean, we just wouldn't do that, but we didn't want to like create a huge thing, but we weren't gonna, you know, settle. We weren't gonna.
We were ready to go to war.
Yeah, we didn't want to, but we were ready.
Yeah, we were ready.
And it took a year. Like the album was done, and then it took a year for it to actually come out.
Is that right?
More than a year.
Yeah.
And how was the process of making the record different than the first one?
Oh, entirely different.
Entirely. Yeah. We rented a house
In Malibu.
Yeah, and we set up a studio in there. Rented a bunch of gear. I mean, our producer Noah Shane did most of that work, but we set up the whole. And you're not used to anything. I mean, in studios, you know what a drum's going to sound like because there's 500 other bands that have recorded in there, you know, so you know exactly what you're going to get. But, you know, when you rent out a house and you could just set up walls of mattresses, you're not quite sure what you're going to get. So I think that was the fun in it, you know, and
The fun and the pain.
yeah.
Probably more hard for Noah.
For some
To
reason,
dial it in.
yeah, we had this like whole concept. You know when you like, you read you watch these really cool documentaries of the Rolling Stones doing it in, you know, Keith's basement, and it's like, that's cool. Let's do that. And you're like, oh fucking, it's like I didn't read all of it. They had 20 people helping them set up the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, anyway, so it was fun. It was. We probably won't ever do that again, but we've always wanted to do that, so we did it.
So it was an experiment.
Yeah.
You kind of take your time and try different things and
Yeah, I
hone
know
your
he
craft.
got a lot of stuff off of eBay that we had no idea what it sounded like. Just
Yeah.
old, very old, vintage
No,
microphones and
got all this rad
yeah,
gear.
Amazing.
we just
So-
tried it.
So now when you listen back, what are your favorite songs on the album? And which ones are you doing live?
Radio 1, 2, Mona Lisa, of course. Something Good we've been doing live. These last two shows we kind of threw in
Feel Right at Home and For You I Am.
the last two of the record.
Yeah. For You I Am is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Tearjerker.
Yeah.
So now with the set combination of songs written over the years, it's kind of a deeper picture of what you guys are all about.
Yeah,
Kind of a
Yeah.
for sure.
7-course meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier live now because we have so many songs that we could choose from, and we can make. I mean, from the diversity of our records, you know, you have like the ballads, and you have the middle ground, and then you have the rock, hard rock, you know. So it's great to go into a show and just be like, you know, let's take it a little bit easier tonight. You know, it's feeling like this crowd, so we don't put as many hard rock. We put in a little bit more, and it's nice because you could do that with our music, you know, and I think we really like that, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're like, we just feel so punk rock. Let's just do all our punk rock ones.
Yeah.
You know? It's fun.
Yeah. And do you do any covers, or is there so you pull out songs from time to time and
Yeah.
work them? Do your Dead Sarah version of them?
Yeah.
Is there a latest one? Is there a song that's gotten under your?
Yeah, we've been doing Rage Against the Machine. It's killing in the name of.
Is that right?
We've done Credence. We did
Okay.
Yeah.
7 boys down,
Down in the sky. People were just kind of like, cool, but we have no idea what that is.
And Leslie,
Just a
you're
few
like,
people,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the parents were like, yeah.
Yeah. Did her own version of it.
Yeah. And I know it's a combination of different types of shows you do now. I saw you at the Aftershock in Sacramento last year, and there's different festivals, and
Right.
America's got a lot more festivals going on and stuff. Is there any difference in preparing, or you just kind of read the audience and naturally adapt to the type of show you're playing?
Yeah, sometimes we'll just have 2 or 3 solid, like, set lists, you know, depending on just kind of like we don't know what we're going to be getting into, but we have them just, like, down, and we know from song to song how to get through the flow of it. But then there are some that are different, that we're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, man, did you see that crowd? We have to throw in these.
Yeah, we'll have like blah 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 or blah. Like we'll do one or the
Yeah.
other. Like Emily will call it like
Yeah.
I feel like the crowd wants to
Mhm.
go
We're going to
bonkers.
cut this song.
kind of read the crowd. And
Yeah.
We could definitely adapt.
yes, yes. Well, you guys are definitely showing a lot of evolution, you know, on this album, and you know, sky's the limit of what you can do, you know, with all the talents and the tools that are out there independently these days. What advice do you give to young people, whether it be a young singer or songwriter, or a band in a garage, or I know the business is constantly evolving. That's hard to kind of judge, but creatively, what advice do you give to people?
Integrity.
Practice.
Keep to yourself, man. Don't be anybody else.
Don't follow.
Don't follow. I swear, because trends end soon. You know, as much as I wish I was on some kind of trend, because it seems to be like the
Shortcut.
greatest thing, yeah, and it seems very pleasing sometimes, you know, but you know what, it lasts just as long as it is up. I mean,
Yeah.
it goes down just as fast as it goes
It's
up.
got an expiration
Yeah.
date written on it.
Yeah.
Practice as much
Practice,
as you
practice,
possibly
practice,
can.
Yeah.
And play as many shows as you can.
Because you get thrown into a lot of situations sometimes that show whether or not you're
Yeah.
ready for it or
So it's
capable.
that instinctual skills of
Yeah.
having done it many, many times.
Mhm.
And that was the thing that we did. Like, I didn't even really realize we were doing it, or maybe I did. I don't know. Mortal technique. We would practice all the time, but then we would always play shows anytime we could, because playing a live show is entirely different than playing the set in rehearsal. It's so different, and everything goes wrong, and you get used to that.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing. I just go play shows. Doesn't matter where.
Anywhere.
Just play shows.
Anywhere that will take you.
Yeah. It's such a different, but it speeds up your like confidence by like 50%.
Getting comfortable and like owning it and making it yours.
Sure.
It's your stage.
It helps so much.
And obviously you're gaining new fans all the time. Is there any message you'd like to send out to those that are just hearing about Dead Sarah to encourage them to come check out the band live or on your recordings?
Just come to
If
a
you
show.
like the music, come on.
Yeah.
If you want to see it live
Don't be afraid.
and
Yeah.
loud.
It's a lot louder,
Yeah.
crazier than the records, but it's fun.
We like to extend some songs too.
Yeah. Well, we're super excited about the new album, what you
Thank
guys are doing, and representing Los Feliz and Hollywood and all the great creative people that have come from here, you know.
Yeah.
And I saw you guys at the Pershing Square last summer. It was so
Sure,
much
sure.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, best of luck with the album, and keep doing it.
Thank you,
Awesome.
man.
Thank you.